Okay, so in this video, we're going to be going over some of the formatting for fonts that you need to know in Excel. And this is an extension of a lot of what we did previously with the Control 1 dialog box. And this time we're going to be focused on the font tab that's in here. Now, unlike some of the alignment stuff and some of the number stuff where there are a lot of different keys to quickly access the information and quickly change some of the formats, there aren't quite as many for fonts. There are some tricks we can use if we have Excel 2007, and you can see here that there are a few shortcuts for accessing some of the different functionality, but most people and most banks are actually using Excel 2003, and so I'm not going to cover those in a whole lot of detail. The other issue is that very frequently with fonts, you typically change it once, and so it's actually better to use Control 1 so you have more control over the detail, the font size, and the color and everything like that. So I'll cover the basic shortcuts for that, but there isn't going to be a whole lot to say here in terms of more advanced topics and keyboard combinations because there just aren't that many that are commonly used for fonts. Okay, so first things first, we'll press Control 1 and press F to get to fonts. You see where we press Alt F, we can jump into the font selection box. Press Alt O to jump into the font style box, and you can press Alt S to start changing the font size around. Alt U gets us to underline, which can be useful. Most of the time you don't really use any of this, but it depends. If you're doing something that's more accounting focused, you may. Alt C will take us to color, which we've actually used before. And then Alt K will do a strike through. Alt E will do a superscript, and Alt B will do a subscript. Superscripts and subscripts are not terribly useful, and actually strike throughs are not that useful in banking either. It's kind of useless to have data that has a strike through in it because then you can't really read it that well. But nevertheless, they are there in case you want to use them. I would say the main shortcuts that you need to know aside from Control 1 and getting to the font dialog like that are the control shortcuts for fonts. Control B makes it bold and also unbolds it if you press Control B again. Control U underlines it and removes the underline if you press it again. Control I makes it italic or removes it if you press it again. And then Control 5 adds a strike through and then also removes it. So those are the main shortcuts to keep in mind in terms of quickly formatting things. Of those, you probably use the italic one, Control I, and the bold one, Control B, the most, simply because you often bold different titles for headings of a model or for data sets, and you often italicize percentages, for example, in models. So those are probably the most commonly used ones. But that's just a quick overview of the different shortcuts that are available. As I said, there's not too much to say on this topic because most of the font stuff is pretty basic. In a lot of cases, your bank may already have a specific font format or a cell format defined for this type of stuff, and you just have to adhere to that. So you literally just find a cell, find an example of it, copy it, and then press Alt EST to copy the font format if that's necessary. So in a lot of cases, your bank will have something defined for this type of thing, but those are the basics that you need to know that can be useful even if you already have those formats and styles defined for you. So for your practice exercise here, here's what I want you to do. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is start here at the top of the page. I'm going to bold everything at the top, and then we're going to also change the font size so this is slightly bigger. Change it to size 12. You see some of the text is now run over, so we want to fix that. But you also see that now part of it has run off the side of the screen, so we also want to fix that. And then the last thing I want you to do here is to change the industry column and make this in italics. So try to do that and replicate what I have on screen right now. Pause the video and go and try to do that. And then once you get it done and you want to check your work, or if you get stuck and you're not sure what to do next, just come back, unpause the video, and then I'll walk you through it this time and give you all the shortcuts along the way. Okay, good. So I'm just going to undo everything I did and then walk you through exactly how I did this and all the shortcuts. Okay, so starting at the top, we press Shift Control right arrow key to highlight this whole top row, then Control B to bold it, Then to change the font size, I would press Control 1 and then press Alt S to get to size, change it to 12. And now you see some of the text is run over. And the way to fix this is not to press Alt OCA with just this row, because you can see the problem. Now some of the rows beneath also run over and they aren't quite contained. So the way to fix this is to select the whole area by pressing Shift Control and then the down arrow key, and then pressing Alt OCA. And then to fit this on the screen, if you remember from the frame and the zoom tutorial, we press Alt VZ and then Alt F to fit it to the selection. And then finally, to change the industries, we press the arrow key to get over here to the first one, then Shift Control down arrow key, and then Control I to italicize it. And now we're done, and it matches what I did before. So that's it for font size formatting within Excel. Those are the basic shortcuts you need to know. Next up, I'm going to be getting into borders and then fills, and then I'm going to be going to a few more related topics, and then we'll be getting into formulas later on.